Hello students, so welcome to Unit 5 of our Recruitment and Selection subject. So welcome to this video lecture. Well, in this unit, we will understand the following below mentioned concepts in detail: screening the candidates, application forms. So when it comes to screening the candidates, we will understand the meaning and concept of selection, objectives of selection, then process of selection. Then we will thoroughly understand the difference between recruitment and selection. Then we will understand the principles of screening applications. Then we will understand application forms, so designing of application form. Then we will understand biodata. Then before that we will even understand the types of application forms, purpose of biodata, advantages of biodata. We will even understand the characteristics of a resume, then parts of a resume formats, then advantages of resume and disadvantages of resume. Then we will understand the curriculum vitae, that is CV, meaning and definition of a CV, preparing CV. Then we will even understand how to design an effective CV. Then the difference between biodata, CV and resume. Then we will even understand the weighted application blanks, that is called WAB. Then purpose of WAB, advantages and disadvantages of WAB. Then taking a behavioral approach to recruitment. This is again a very lengthy unit, students. A lot of important concepts to remember in this particular unit from the examination point of view as well as from your career point of view also. So when it comes to taking a behavioral approach to recruitment, we will study spotting personality patterns, making some basic assumptions about a particular candidate, predicting the future. Then we'll understand the strategy versus technique. Then focusing on the behavior, assessing how person performs, and then finally winning candidate's profile. Then challenges faced in the interview, identifying the ingredients of success. Then finally we'll end up by additional characteristics are required. So these are some of the important concepts what we will be understanding in detail in Unit 5 of Recruitment and Selection. I'm once again repeating, students, in this unit we will be this unit you have to study the concepts very thoroughly, because it is very important not only from the examination point of view but also from the career point of view also. Now in this unit, first we'll understand the meaning and concept of selection, then we will study the objectives of selection. Well, selection refers to a process in which individuals are picked up from the pool of job applicants, possessing the required knowledge and skills for the job to be performed in an organization. Selection is a process which includes various phases, such as exploring the applicants in order to check whether they are suitable for the job or not, picking up the right ones from the pool of applicants and eliminating the rest. Therefore, selection can be regarded as a negative process in its application, as its main aim is to reject as many unsuitable candidates or individuals as possible, so as to get the right and appropriate candidates for the organization. Now students, after understanding the thorough meaning of selection, we will understand the objectives of selection. The first objective is selects suitable candidate. The second objective verifies applicants' capabilities. The third would be places right candidate at right job. The fourth generates information about candidate, and finally saves cost. Now we will understand each point in detail. The first objective, that is select suitable candidate. Selection process aims at choosing the most appropriate candidate who meets all the requirements of a position. The best candidate is chosen only after rejecting all the unfit applicants through a systematic process of selection. The second objective verifies applicants' capabilities. Selection process helps to match job requirements with the applicant's profile in order to select the best candidate. The third objective, places right candidates at right job. Selection process helps to choose the right candidate for the right job so that he can contribute his best efforts towards the achievement of organizational goals by giving a standard performance as desired. The fourth objective, generates information about candidate. Selection also helps in extracting information regarding the candidate with a view to compare him with other candidates in order to reach to a correct decision. Saves cost. The match between the right candidate and job requirement is very crucial in order to enhance the employee's work performance. Any mismatch in this respect can result in high loss to the organization. It can be in terms of money, that is monetary, time, and any other factors such as cost of training or cost of operating, etc. So these are some of the objectives of selection. Now, after understanding the meaning and concept of selection and objectives of selection, now we have come to a very important heading, that is process of selection. Selection methods determine whether or not the qualifications of a job applicant are in accordance with the job requirements. The selection process consists of various barriers or stages. Selection aims at generating full information regarding the candidates in order to determine whether they are appropriate for the job or not. So the first step would be screening of applicants, selection test. The third step in the process of selection would be selection interviews, medical examination, reference check and background verification, and hiring decision. Now we will understand each point or each step in the process of selection in detail. The first is screening of applicants. Now screening of applicants includes filling up the application forms by the candidates. These application forms contain information about the applicants such as his personal biodata, achievements, experience. This kind of information is utilized in order to get the right candidate who is eligible for the vacant position. The second step in the process of selection is selection test. Every organization has its own rules for the selection process. To generate the required information about the candidate or to reject the candidate who are not qualified for the interview. So, generally selection tests support the information provided by the applicants in the application forms. A selection test may provide useful information in terms of their aptitude, hobbies, personality, which is not possible to get through an application form. The third step in the process of selection is selection interviews. Selection tests are followed by a personal interview with the candidate. The main purpose of a personal interview is to fully evaluate the candidate for that particular job. It also gives a chance to the candidate to gain all the information about the organization. Sometimes a preliminary interview takes place before conducting the test. Then the fourth step in the process of selection would be medical examination. Medical examination is performed in order to observe the candidate's endurance or tolerance level under the pressure, as there are several jobs which require a lot of patience. Medical examination evaluates whether the candidate possesses these traits or not. Then reference check and background verification. Students, this is a very, very important step in the process of selection. Selection procedure includes this step of a reference check and background verification for the purpose of bringing out more information regarding the candidate. Organizations request the candidate for some references from whom they gain some more information. This information may be concerned with their character, working, etc. These references may include ex-employers of the candidate, or if you are a fresher, it can include the college principal or the head of the department or any faculty as you have to put as a reference. Then the last step in the process of selection would be hiring decisions. Finally, based on the above steps, the appropriate candidates are recommended for selection by the personnel department or selection committee. However, the personnel department or selection committee may hold the responsibility of finalizing the candidates for the job. Sometimes organizations have their own staff to recommend the candidates for final selection by the top management. Generally, organizations assign different authorities to approve the final selection of candidates. On receiving the approval, the candidates are told about their selection in the organization and are requested to report to the concerned personnel. Now, after understanding the meaning of selection, after knowing the process of selection, now we will clearly understand the basic difference between the recruitment and selection. So some of the basis of difference or some of the parameters in which I will differentiate between recruitment and selection will be the sequence, objective, process, methods, service contract and result. Well, I'll take sequence and I'll try to differentiate when it comes to recruitment and when it comes to selection. Sequence. In terms of recruitment, recruitment is always conducted before the selection process. Please mark it very important, students. I'll repeat once again. Recruitment is always conducted before the selection process. Selection is always conducted after the recruitment process. Next, the second one, that is objective. The main objective of the recruitment is to attract a maximum number of potential applicants in order to get a large application pool. Whereas objective when it comes to selection would be the main objective of selection is to choose the best suitable candidate from the applicant pool. The third one, that is the process. Recruitment is called a positive process because it involves the process of generating a large number of applications. Whereas selection is called a negative process because it involves the process which rejects a large number of applicants and only few best applicants are selected for a particular job. Fourth one would be methods. Methods of recruitment are not very comprehensive and therefore there is no more recruitment of persons with highly skilled personnel. Whereas when it comes to selection, very specialized methods are required in selection process. Therefore, in this process, only skilled personnel like experts of selection tests, conducting interviews, etc. are considered. Next would be service contract when it comes to recruitment. Service contract is not the outcome of recruitment process. When it comes to selection, there is a service contract between employer and the selected candidate. Next, last one, that is result. When it comes to recruitment, the recruitment results in a pool of applications which serves as an input for process of selection. Selection process results in the form of selecting the final candidate who will get the job offer. So what you have to remember here, students, the basis of difference or the parameter in which I can differentiate a recruitment and selection. So the parameters would be the sequence, objective, process, methods, service contract and result. Screening the candidates. Once pools of applications have been received, the next step is screening of application or shortlisting of applicants. It is important that shortlisting is done against the criteria set out on the person's specification. It is usually done in stages. The first stage would be check the desirable characteristics, those who possess all or most of the characteristics of the desirable characteristics would go forward first. The second stage would be take other aspects into consideration such as the neatness and the style of the application itself. This stage is required only if there are still too many people for interview. Principles of screening applications. There are some basic principles which are important to the screening of application, which I have discussed below. That is, be objective, equality and diversity, fairness and recruitment experience. We will understand each principle in detail. First we will take be objective. Remember that shortlisting involves objectively assessing each applicant against the essential and desirable criteria set out in the person specification. It is very important that recruiter do not let any other aspect of the application influence his decision. Making decisions based on things such as gaps in service or the fact that an application is handwritten could be seen as discriminatory. Then the second principle of screening application would be equality and diversity. A recruiter should have a good understanding of equality and diversity before taking part in a recruitment and selection process. Always be mindful of protected characteristics and stick objectively to the person specification. Where possible, the recruitment panel should be as diverse as possible. Then the third principle is fairness. A recruiter should endeavor to be as fair as possible. If there is a conflict of interest or potential nepotism, he should avoid involvement in the recruitment process. Then the fourth one is recruitment experience. So what we are studying, student, the principles of screening application. The fourth principle is recruitment experience. It is strongly recommended that recruiter attend the appropriate recruitment and selection course prior to taking part in the recruitment process. He should also be aware of the e-recruiter guidance. During the process, he will receive emails from e-recruiter and HR services to register him on the system and to advise when the advertisement has closed. Techniques for screening application. Various techniques for screening applications are below. That is application forms, resume, biodata, and curriculum vitae, also called as CV. In the next coming slides, we will be understanding in detail about each technique. The first technique for screening application, what we have taken now, is application forms. Application forms, it is used to gain the basic details about the candidates. Application forms or application blanks are used to gain the basic details about the candidates. It helps to identify the candidates' interest areas that prove to be of great help in discussion during the interview. It is a useful method of gathering the candidates' past details. It also helps to pass the candidates' details to the management and other members of the interview panel. Application forms can be detailed or precise depending upon the preference of the organization. The information required in these forms may vary depending on the type of job and the organization. Design of application form. The first one would be personal background information. The second one would be educational attainments. The third would be work experience, salary, personal items and references. We will discuss in detail about each design of application form. The first one would be personal background information. This includes information regarding the candidate's name, date of birth, correspondence and permanent residential address, marital status, sex, nationality, parents' name and their annual income, number of dependents, etc. So this information gives the management about the candidate status of his family, in society and background, which determines his suitability in the organization, and also the influence of all these factors on his personality. The second would be educational attainments. This comprises of details about the candidate's educational institution such as school, college, university, etc. It also includes information regarding the course he has studied, the duration of the study, medium of study, marks and the rank achieved, sports, likes and dislikes, etc. This information is most important for the organization. Then work experience. This consists of the entire past job details. Greater stress is laid on the type of work, duration of work in each job, reasons of exit from the previous job, job duties and responsibilities handled, salary package, etc. This data updates the organization about the candidate's job stability, his behavior towards work, his attitude and loyalty towards the previous employers. Then we have salary. Application forms also ask for the salary that the candidate is currently receiving and what he is expecting from the organization. So the company or the HR manager will come to know what is the present draw and what is his expectation. Personal items. This comprises of a person's likes and dislikes, association membership, sports and hobbies, etc. References. It includes the name, address and contact details of the person who can be contacted for references. Now we will understand the types of application forms. Employment application form, membership application form, rental application form, credit application form and volunteer application form. We will discuss each one of them in detail. First we will take employment application form. A form used to collect information from job applicants. Information collected may include availability for work, proof of legal employment status, salary requirements and past job history. The second one would be membership application form. This type of form allows a club or organization an opportunity to provide prospective members a way to request admittance. The member applicant may be asked to provide such information as employment history, emergency contacts, family members and references. Rental application form. This type of form allows a landlord to consider the qualifications of a potential tenant. The application authorizes the landlord to verify the information provided. This usually includes authorization to allow the landlord to check the applicant's credit history, employment status, rental history and a criminal background check. Credit application form. This type of form is used to apply for the credit with the lender. The information provided is used to help determine the borrower's employment status, credit history and ability to repay the loan. Volunteer application form. Non-profit organizations can be held responsible for illegal acts committed by their volunteers. A properly vetted and documented volunteer workers application can help the non-profits protect themselves under their umbrella insurance policy. A volunteer application form can provide the non-profit with the necessary information. Biodata. First, we'll understand the meaning and definition of biodata. Biodata is a term used to refer to any type of personal history, experience, or education information. Some organizations use a biographical information questionnaire instead of or in addition to the usual application blank. Biodata questionnaires may be much more detailed than application blanks and may be scored with the key based on very sophisticated statistical analysis. Purpose of biodata. So it can be the following purpose like personality explanation, cognitive and non-cognitive explanation, non-fiction explanation, relevant item explanation, point-to-point explanation. Now we will understand the purpose. Each point is concerned in detail. First we will take personality explanation. Many biodata items serve as indicators of important personality traits. These stable traits may both underlie past performance and contribute to future performance. Cognitive and non-cognitive explanation. Biodata measures may tap both cognitive and non-cognitive traits and abilities. That is, past activities and achievements reflect skill and intelligence as well as personal qualities such as motivation or leadership. Such broad measurement of a variety of important qualities may contribute to the predictive power of biodata instruments. Non-fiction explanation. Reporting on the verifiable aspects of one's past history reveals the truth about one's entire relevant past. A person's past history probably provides a sounder basis for predicting future behavior than does a short experience such as the interview, in which candidates are on their best behavior and can present an artificially positive picture of themselves. Relevant item explanation. Weighted application blanks and other biodata questionnaires are valid because the only items that receive weights are those that are individually valid. Thus, every item is related to the criterion. In contrast, in most tests, only the total score is validated against the criterion. Point-to-point explanation. Biodata use past behavior to directly predict future behavior of the same type. There is no need to hypothesize or measure intervening constructs that may be imperfectly related to behavior, either past or future. Advantages of biodata. Students, each method or each one has got its own advantage and disadvantage. In the same way, biodata has got advantages and disadvantages. Biodata offers some unique advantages for the assessment of job applicants. So, objectivity, cost, checkability, validity, and self-presentation. These are some of the important advantages of biodata. We will understand each one of them. Objectivity. The first one, objectivity. The same questions are asked to everyone who complete the form, and the answers given are assessed in a consistent way. In this sense, a biodata questionnaire is probably a fairer means of selection than other conventional procedures. It is also possible to monitor candidates' response to individual questions and eliminate items that show evidence of discrimination against some social groups. The second advantage of biodata is cost. Although there are although there may be fairly extensive research and development cost, once criteria are known, biodata are very cheap. Cheap in the sense that the cost involved is less. Biodata forms can be developed in multiple choice formats which are amenable to machine scoring or direct entry to a computer terminal. Thus, processing large number of applicants can become a routine clerical activity, freeing valuable personal professionals or line managers' time. Then checkability. It is possible in theory at any rate to check up on the answers of the respondents. The fact may reduce faking. Validity. Nearly all the studies have shown that biodata are a valid and reliable way of selecting individuals. Certainly the results look as if biodata are better than interviews and personality questionnaires and as good as ability tests. Then last advantage of biodata, self-presentation. Most people prefer and expect to be asked about their biographies rather their personalities. For many, biodata are more preferable and acceptable than personality tests. Then there are some disadvantages of biodata, which includes homogeneity versus heterogeneity. Then the second could be faking. The third disadvantages could be fairness in the law. The fourth could be cloning the past. Then the last disadvantage of biodata could be discovering the selection criteria can be useful in itself. Resume. The meaning and definition of a resume. Resume is a 1 or 2 page document that candidates use to highlight their qualifications, skills, and work experience while applying for a job. All the relevant information about an individual can be found in this resume. Practically, it is a marketing as well as branding tool of an individual to make the recruiters aware of him or her. It represents the individual to the future employers or colleagues in the same fashion as he or she expects. As employers screen in and screen out the applicants on the basis of their resume, hence, from the perspective of an individual, it is very helpful in getting the interviewing call. Preparing a resume is a very challenging task. It is quite different from filling a job application where an individual just fills in the details of his or her experience. Resume is all about the in-depth information like achievements, hobbies, strength, weakness, skills about the candidate. Here first the job objective is written and then different skills, achievements and experiences are highlighted so as to support the job objective. Now we will understand the characteristics and parts of a resume. So what are the characteristics of resume? All the information is written in points. The approach of writing is formal and objective. Third person format is used for writing. Candidate's name and address is provided. Educational qualification of the candidate is summarized. Prior job experiences are highlighted. Professional connection is described and skills of candidate are also explained. Now we will study the various parts of a resume. So first is heading, career objective, education, skills, achievements, position sort, professional summary, work experience, activities and interest, and references. So the standard resume consists of plus and minus of all the things what I told you. But overall, the general parts of a resume include the below points what I discussed. Now heading. The heading of a resume includes the contact information which contains a candidate's name, full postal address with PIN code, telephone number with area code, or if you have fax number and even email address is very, very important. Then career objective. So what are your objective? That is very important. So many times it so happens that one objective will be in plenty of resumes. That means what the student will be doing is they will be just copying and pasting in their objective part. So that should not be there. Each student or each employee should be writing or mentioning his career objective. So that adds a lot of meaning for this career objective. Career objective is a special part in the resume. It occurs just above the main experience and educational parts. If the candidate is responding to an advertised job position, his resume should include his career objective which is tailored to the position he is seeking. Then the education, skills, achievements, position sort. Now when I say position sort, if the candidate is applying for a solicited job position, he should mention the position sort so that the employer is able to distinguish his application from those who might have applied for the other positions available in the company or organization. However, there is no need to include this part in the resume if the candidate is applying for an unsolicited job application. Then he can even mention about the professional summary, work experience if any, then activities and interest, and very important, references. Some employers need references from person who know the candidate work or professional competence through formal and professional interaction with them. If they are applying for a solicited position and the employer wants them to give references, mention the names of 3 persons who can give a letter of recommendation or references for them. These persons may include their previous employer, or if you are a fresher, you can give the name and email ID of the principal or the head of the department or the faculty. They should even mention the name of the reference, his or her designation, and full contact address with the telephone number, fax number and email address. So which will help the employers to verify or to check the background of an employee. Now after understanding the resume format, we will even study some of the advantages and disadvantages of resume. Now what are the advantages of resume and combination? Chronological resume. Now we will first study chronological resume, functional resume, and the third combination. Overwhelming majority of resumes follow the chronological format. Each one has got a easiest type of document both to create and to read. So chronological resume. Advantages of chronological resume: the candidate's responsibilities, attention to stable work accomplishments and work history by highlighting the most recent position. It demonstrates working ability and promote all relevant employment. Functional resume. Then functional resume. The functional format is ideal future orientations. They emphasize looking to change in the career. An applicant can bring to a new. It allows for shifts in what he or she has accomplished, moving the focus of the resume and combination from a linear timetable and combine the solid foundation of transferable functional resume. A study one from any source diverse skill sets. It also allows to, whereas the disadvantages advantages are not limited to previous employment and functional. These flexible functions allow the candidate to prioritize subheadings, disadvantage either a resume respectively. According to emphasis on work history, the functional resume for many people is not the ideal format for candidates. Most with recent experience has to be relevant for looking for employment or advancement in the same field or a similar field. Then disadvantage of as only a small percentage of rejected when prospective employers expect to see, and employers also might perceive an unorthodox format as an attempt to hide something. This format can be of great interest to many job applicants. If I'm applying for a position in multiple, the last is combination resume and accomplishment. The combination resume highlights the key organized both the chronological format as well as the functional. Conservative employers allowing a job seeker to emphasize especially both a study work history and a diverse skill. These were some of the advantages. Although all good resumes meet these qualifications to a certain extent, the goal of the combination format is to showcase both a consistent employment record and a specific list of skill sets incorporating a sound time frame to serve as the backbone of the resume. The combination format also shows professionals to apply for a broader range of jobs than does the strict chronological format. The combination resume has been a successful choice for consultants as a strong work history is backed by individual success at specific companies or while overseeing key projects. It is also a good choice if the candidate has both strong skills and a steady employment record, but need a resume that will overcome the objections some employers may have to the functional format. Now, after understanding resume in detail, the different formats and advantages and disadvantages of resume, now we'll understand, curriculum vitae or CV. So the word CV, that is curriculum vitae, Latin words which simply means list of life. Its abbreviated form is CV. It is an important document that has almost all the vital details of the candidate, such as his or her biographical, academic and professional details combined with his or her work experience, if any. Hence, it is an essential tool in job seekers' hand. When a candidate applies for a job, he or she submits his or her CV along with an application or a cover letter to the HR department of the company. While making a CV up to date, a job seeker must visualize the employer's viewpoint. The candidate should focus upon how his or her CV would look different and what new and existing details should be highlighted on priority basis that would make a good influence on the employer. Generally, both CV and resume are understood as one and are used interchangeably. However, there is a slight difference between a curriculum vitae and a resume. A CV is a detailed document regarding one's qualifications, work experience, professional skills, special achievements such as publication of research papers, attending seminars or conferences, project undertaken and taking part in some short-term courses. While resume is a short form of such details, hence accommodating numerous details will require at least 2 to 3 pages. And that is how a CV is formed. Now we will understand designing curriculum vitae, that is CV. The first one, personal information, education, work experience and activities, and there are other information also. Now when I say personal information, the personal information section includes name, age and contact information as well as permanent address which contains the applicant's telephone number with area code, fax number and email address. The second would be education. In this section of your curriculum vitae or CV, you need to include specific details about your educational qualification and professional training. Include the name of the degrees or certificates that you have received in reverse chronological order along with the name and location of the school or university or institute attended. Dates of attendance or year of passing, major area of the study should also be mentioned. You may also mention your grade point average or class or division if it is on a higher side. Work experience, This part of your CV should provide details of your work and professional experience. You need to mention the job title, name of the organization or company, name of the employer, name or location of work, and dates of employment. Then we have activities. This section may include co-curricular and extracurricular activities, interest, hobbies, memberships of learning societies, hobbies. Then you can include other information like skills, achievements, accomplishments, honors, awards received, references, and any other relevant information. Weighted application blanks, WAB. Weighted application blank is the best known techniques for identifying factors that differentiate between successful and less successful employees. It involves first selecting an employee characteristic to be measured, identifying which questions predict the desired employee behavior, determining the question's relative predictive power, assigning weighted values to each relevant question, and scoring each applicant's completed job application form according to the scoring key developed. Hiring decisions may then be made according to applicants. Weighted scores based on the criterion or criteria being measured. It is possible to determine for a given job application form the total score below which a prospective employee might be bad risk for the company and above which the applicant is likely to be successful employee. Now, taking a behavioral approach to recruitment, behavioral screening takes a critical view of recruitment and assessment that is modeled closely on the best practices such as capital asset acquisition. Companies that use behavioral screening display a strong sense of direction. They have reached a common understanding about the state of the organization, prioritized the challenges, distilled the specific behavioral competencies required and validated them in a clear and consistent process. So the first would be the spotting personality patterns, making the basic assumptions. Now what do you mean by spotting personality patterns? The work interviewers have done by determining the qualities they are looking for prior to the interview will help them to identify those specific skills and traits they are seeking during the actual interview. They will see patterns begin to emerge and they will know the hot areas or red flags to watch for along with the past experiences that reveal the way each candidate has handled difficult situations. At this point in the interview, they will begin to have some insight into the candidate's communication style and whether or not this person is going to fit into the organization's culture. This fit will be important to the candidate as well as to the company. The expense involved in recruiting will be wasted if the employee is unsatisfied with the job and leaves after only few months. The ideal situation is to have a win-win situation for all concerned. Making basic assumptions. There are patterns in people behavior. They can be seen in past performance. They will be present in the future. Targeted interviewing. Now what do you understand by the term called as targeted interviewing? A targeted selection interviewing system is a method of interviewing candidates for a job based on the idea that past behaviors and experiences will predict how well qualified a candidate is for a position. Focusing on behavior. Interviewers adopt the approach to assess what a candidate can do is going to be to focus on behavior that is past behavior They want to look for how person has actually behaved in the past and then project that behavior into the future. It makes sense then to retain the same behavioral facts when it comes to defining what is that interviewers are looking for, what sort of behavior are interviewers looking for. That is going to be the question. The job description as it stands probably does not tell the interviewers how the ideal incumbent should behave. The general prescriptions it contains should be a good team player and have good communication skills and be able to function effectively with minimal supervision and not quite explicit enough to be deemed behavioral. Identifying the ingredients of success. Number one, goal orientation, that is the starting point. Organization, initiative and intelligence, that is day-to-day execution. Then relationship building, communication skills and leadership, that is basically dealing with how you deal with the people. Then enthusiasm, drive and resilience, that is inner person. Then self-development and stability, that is additional characteristics. Now first we'll take goal orientation, that is the starting point. The first quality is goal orientation. Interviewers need to know that the candidate has developed the habit of setting specific goals and working toward their achievement, something which is characteristic of all successful people. There is a focus to their behavior, a sense of direction, a sense of mission. Now, organization, that is the second ingredient of success, organization, initiative and intelligence, that is day-to-day execution. Here, organization, initiative, intelligence. Now, when I say organization, the second quality is organization. The interviewers need to know that the candidate pursues his or her goals in an intelligent, disciplined and effective manner, planning ahead, focusing on the things that count, not getting sidetracked by the things that have little chance of paying off or by details that are not critical to the central task at hand. Initiative, the third quality is initiative. The interviewers need to know the candidate is the sort of person who takes the bull by the horns and gets things done without having to be prodded or given the go ahead. Next, intelligence. The fourth quality is intelligence. The interviewers need to know that the candidate is bright enough to think on his or her feet. Next would be dealing with people, that is relationship building, and how strong is your communication and how strong is your leadership quality. Then your enthusiasm, drive and resilience. And finally, self-development and stability. The winning candidate's profile. The winner's profile consists of 12 specific characteristics of successful people. The key point is that certain people are going to be successful no matter what challenge they take on, and that is simply because they have developed or acquired certain characteristics or habits which are the key to success in any field. If they can bring those characteristics into the company or organization, provided they have the fundamental knowledge and skills that are needed in the specific job under consideration, they are going to be successful. They provide the target of the interview, and this provides interviewer with the essential structure for the interview. Everything else, what questions to ask, what techniques to use, when to do this and when to do that, is just a means or to an end. Now, winning candidate profile. The winner's profile consists of 12 specific characteristics of successful people. They are what we discussed. That is the starting point, that is goal orientation students, organization, initiative and intelligence, relationship building, communication skills and leadership, enthusiasm, drive and resilience, and then self-development and stability. So these are the 12 specific characteristics of a successful people. Now, as we already studied, the starting point, that is the day-to-day execution and dealing with people, that is organization, initiative and intelligence. Followed by that we have relationship building, communication skills and leadership. And then enthusiasm, which is very, very important. And then drive and resilience, and additional characteristics involve self-development and stability. So thank you so much students for watching this video. So in this particular unit there are a lot of things to understand and know. So my humble request to all of you is kindly study the concepts thoroughly, so that this particular unit, it is very important not only from the examination point of view but also from your career point of view. So you can get some of the questions like what are the application forms, explain the designing of application form, or write a detailed note on biodata, or write a note on pinning down what is needed, how personality patterns can be spotted, state the advantages and disadvantages of CV, or what are the guidelines for screening applications. So state the 2 important benefits of application forms. So you can get some of the questions even from this particular unit. So once again, thank you so much for watching this video, students.